On Thursday, November 17, the Executive Committee of the Pacific Union Conference convened in Westlake Village, California, for the fourth quarterly meeting of 2022. As the official representatives of the nearly 220,000 Adventists in the 7 conferences of the Pacific Union, the committee members heard reports and acted on the business of the church in our region. Dr. G. Alexander Bryant, president of the North American Division, brought greetings and a report from the division. The Pacific Union has always been an innovator and a creative leader in the North American Division, he said. As president of the Pacific Union Conference, Elder Bradford Newton leads this committee, and he is deeply focused on both the day-to-day work and the development of long-term strategies that will impact our future. His president's report was full of inspirational stories and a call to prayer. Several times during the day-long meeting, members stopped and prayed, in groups of 2 or 3, silently and as a group. Fellowshipping around the lunch tables, praying together, receiving reports, sharing stories. All examples of the engaged participation of the committee membership and the focus and commitment of our leadership to fulfilling the mission. Please continue to pray for our churches, schools, ministries, and institutions, and for the members of the Executive Committee as they engage in the important work of the Pacific Union. Aimee Saesim Leukert has been an educator at the elementary, high school, and university levels for almost 20 years. She is currently the Associate Director for the Center for Research on Adventist Education and an Assistant Professor at La Sierra University in the Curriculum and Instruction Department. Aimee has a passion for Adventist education and is collecting stories for a brand new book. We had the opportunity to sit down with Aimee a few weeks ago and ask her how she got started on this project.
This project has been simmering in the back of my head now for ages, and I have a number of former classmates, colleagues, students who have gone on to do amazing things in their lives. I've interviewed an epidemiologist, a realtor, an architect, an F-16 fighter pilot, so many in so many disparate, various, diverse fields. And they're so enthusiastic not only about what they do, but of how Adventist education has led them to this point in their lives, to this career, and also how Adventist education in that context really continues to influence the decisions that they make in their job, the way they treat people, the way in which they view the world. One story that I did recently was with Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. He is a graduate of Oakwood Academy and Oakwood University. He had a passion for the sciences when he was young, started inspired by his education in elementary and academy. He graduated with his PhD. He's an engineer. He owns his own media production company. And his passion is in connecting young people with others who have thrived, who have succeeded in their field, and building up these relationships so that they too can thrive in STEM careers. We talked a little bit about service, about his passion for serving others, especially those in underrepresented communities. And I asked him, how did you get that? How was that taught to you in your classroom, in the K-12 setting? And he thought for a second and he said, it wasn't expressly directly taught. He said, I absorbed it. It was from the environment that those teachers created, where we knew that we were to respond to God's calling, that we were to serve others. We absorbed it. Another individual I recently interviewed is Dr. Mandy Rosassen. She and her husband are both physicians who practice in the Conejo Valley. They own their own office, and she received her education in Conejo Valley Adventist School, Newbury Park Academy, Pacific Union College, and then all the way through Loma Linda University Medical School. And she just talked about how in her office these days, she trains her staff. She and her husband work really hard to treat the whole patient, the whole person. And she said that's really something that was emphasized through all of my education, from elementary, through academy, through college, that we are more than just whatever the illness is. And she and her husband, their dream was to own their own practice so that they could have this as their motto, as their mission, which is treating the entire person. Dr. Saesim spoke so passionately about her own education. She actually lives just about 20 miles from where she grew up, and her children are now attending the elementary and academy that she attended as well. And she said, there's no other place that I'd rather have my children. Adventist education gave me so much in my life that I needed to gift this to my children as well. These individuals that I've interviewed have graduated from Harvard, from Princeton, from Berkeley, from Ivy League schools, and yet when they look back at their K-12 education, they don't talk about the computers in the classroom. They don't talk about the curriculum or the technology that was or wasn't there. They talk about how their teachers called on them to serve Jesus, to know that God had a purpose for them, that their skills, their talents were God-given, and it was up to them to use those skills to share the gospel with others.
A big thank you to Dr. Aimee Saesim Leukert for sharing these stories. And if you have a wonderful Adventist education story, please go to www.adventistedstories.com and share yours. Thanks so much for joining us today. For all God's people, I'm Connie Jeffrey.